Hey, what's up, Facebook? My name is Kara Cates, and today we are going to talk about my favorite topic, corrective exercise strategies, how they work, and why they work so effectively. If you don't already know me, my name is Kara. I'm a corrective exercise specialist, and I help stressed out fitness junkies break free from pain and anxiety so they can return to doing things they love. Today I'm going to talk about the corrective exercise strategy and how it works and why you should be doing it. So here we go. As most of you know, in order to create movement, all movement has to start in the nervous system. The nervous system sends a signal to the muscle to contract. The muscle contracts, and then the skeletal system, or the joint, will move. Now, when we have joint pain, typically we'll go see a chiropractor. If we have muscle pain, we go see a massage therapist. But if we want to fix the whole system, where do we really need to start? We really need to start in the nervous system. Now, what type of therapist do you see that starts training in the nervous system? Not many, right? So that's what corrective exercise does, and that's why corrective exercise is so powerful. And we can fix most types of joint or muscle issues within about 4 to 8 weeks, depending on what you do on your own, and also whether you have structural damage or not. If you already have a bulging disc or a torn rotator cuff, there's definitely more things that come into play with that. So the first thing that I explain when I talk about corrective exercise is your posture. So if you have a sedentary job, and you sit at a desk with your hands in front of you all day, you're going to create a posture. Your body is going to adapt to your environment. Now, if let's just say we're in this position for 10 hours a day, we drive, we work for 8 hours, and then we go home and we sleep in that same position with our hands in front of us and our knees curled up. We are in this position, sometimes, some people, 20 hours a day, okay? Now, you can't tell me that your body's not going to adapt to that posture and that environment. So when you have your body in a certain position like that, in order for you to put your arm over your head, your brain has to send the signal to those muscles. It starts in the nervous system. So your brain is going to send signals to your chest to contract, to put your hands in front of you, the front of your neck to look at your computer screen, looking down at your phone all day, and then also your hip flexors. So today we're going to talk about hip flexors and quads versus hamstrings and glutes, because that's what I've been talking about a lot lately. So when that happens, it's like a light bulb. It's like having two light bulbs. So you have two light bulbs and you have one switch. Now your one switch is your nervous system. Can you do a tricep extension and a bicep curl at the same time? No, because they're two totally different movements. So if these are your hip flexors and your hamstrings, so we'll do hip flexors or quads, and your glutes and hamstrings. If these ones are dominant, they're receiving the signal from the brain all day because you're sitting in what we call hip flexion. Your hip flexor is going to receive the signal. Now these muscles are going to become what we call overactive or dominant. Okay? Now, those overactive muscles also can become shortened. So it's just like doing a light intensity workout over 20 or 30 years. So if you've been in this position, elementary school, junior high, high school, college, and then you join the workforce, you've been in this position your entire life. You know how when you work out and you're sore, well, your muscle fibers actually tear. And how long do we give between leg day? We give like 2 or 3 days before we do legs again, right? Well, how many of us actually lay down on our back in full extension for 24 hours to let our bodies and our muscles recover? We don't. So our hip flexors, they tear gradually over time, but they never actually recover, okay? So when that happens, when that tear develops, it acts as a toxic dump site, and all the toxins in your body will accumulate into that microscopic tear, and they'll get bigger and bigger. Now, adhesions are basically just balls of toxins, but the only thing that can get them out is pressure, okay? But the other dangerous part is that they create shortened muscles. So if you take a 20-inch rope and you tie 6 knots in it, what happens to the length of it? It shortens, right? Okay. So whatever joint that muscle is attached to, when it shortens, it's going to affect. It's going to pull that joint forward. Now, what happens with the hip flexors is that, let's just say we go from this sedentary job and we go work out right after work. Which muscles do you think are firing? The muscles that are already turned on or the muscles that are turned off? The muscles that are turned on. So even if you're doing glutes and hamstring exercises, you're mainly using your lower back to produce the movement, and you may get 20% fire out of the glutes and the hamstrings. So we need to change this. If you want to fix the back pain, if you want to fix those muscle imbalances, you need to change the signal from the nervous system. How do we do that? First step is super easy. Shut down the signal from the brain. I say it's easy, but it hurts like a mofo, okay? First step is foam rolling. Whether you foam roll on a PVC pipe, a vibrating foam roller, a regular foam roller, you get a massage, use a baseball, it doesn't matter. Any type of pressure is going to create what we call autogenic inhibition in the muscle and shut down the muscle fiber. It's going to shut down the pain receptors, and it's also going to help you break down the adhesions, okay? Step 1. If I were to stretch a knotted up rope, am I ever going to get it back to the full length until I take the knots out? No. So stretching is not as effective alone as foam rolling is. So we always foam roll first, shut down the signal from the brain, take the knots out, then we can stretch. So phase 2 is always going to be lengthen, okay? Now we end up with what looks like a balance. So you have weak muscles here and tight muscles here. So quads, hamstrings. When we foam roll and stretch, we actually get more length out of those tight muscles. But here's the problem I see with most people. Most people tend to stop after foam rolling and stretching because they feel better. And if you're trying to get out of pain, foam rolling and stretching will do that temporarily, but you're not going to complete the cycle. So you foam roll and you stretch, but then you go back to this position and that cycle starts all over again. So you have to foam roll and stretch every single day. So phase 3 of corrective exercise is actually activation, isolated activation of those weaker muscles. And what does that do? It reroutes the signal from those dominant or overactive muscles and sends it then to those weak muscles. Now these are very simple exercises: floor bridge, planks, floor crunch. It depends on the level that you're at. But what this does is it sends a signal over here to the glutes and the hamstrings, so that the glutes and the hamstrings are now receiving the signal from the brain and they're actually working. So when I was training figure competitors, I would have girls come to me and they would say, I do an hour and 45 minutes of glutes and hamstrings, and then I do the stair stepper for another 45 minutes. Okay, well, that's not as effective because you're not actually using your glutes and your hamstrings most of that time. So with corrective exercise, what I would do is I would take them through their foam rolling and stretching program, shut down their hip flexors, shut down their lower back, shut down their quads, and then I would isolate or turn on the glutes and the hamstrings, and then I would take them through a 15 or 20 minute workout, and they could hardly make it through that 20 minutes because their glutes were on fire. That is what we want. That is where we're trying to create that neurological response inside the glutes and the hamstrings. Because if you're not getting that signal, you can work out till you throw up, but you're still not going to develop those muscles until you shut down those dominant muscles. So how do we figure out what muscles are dominant? It's a super easy process. I can do it on Skype. It's an evaluation. It's a posture evaluation. There's 4 different movement efficiency tests that I do, and then there's a couple different range of motion tests. Everybody's body is different. So if you think that you might be quad dominant, go ahead and shoot me a message and I'll tell you what I think based off of your posture. And then also, so check this out. After we've created that tension, then we have proper length tension relationship because we've got length over here and proper tension over here, and then our pelvis is designed to sit in that neutral position. That's when your back pain goes away. That's when your hip impingement goes away. And that's when you can start to develop your abs, your glutes, and your hamstrings like you never could before. So that's corrective exercise. That is my passion. That is what gets me excited. And I hope that you're as exercise nerdy as I am and you love this too. But if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the comments. Thanks, guys.